Hello, my name is Carla, and we are here tonight to talk to you about holistic nutrition. Welcome to my channel, and today I have the opportunity to chit chat with Solange from Broca Fresca, and we're going to bring in some tools to you in like an introduction to holistic nutrition, to conscious nutrition, and how that will impact our lives in our process of expansion, in our process of awakening. So it's my honor to introduce you guys to Solange from Boca Fresca. Welcome to my channel.
Hola, everyone. Thank you, Carla, for having me here. It's also my honor to be here with you and to be able to share information, share our experiences and knowledge together.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I kind of, this is very informal. It's obviously a conversation that we have all the time, but just now here in front of the cameras, the point is to bring in specific tools in an introduction for someone that haven't been really awakened or look into the importance of nutrition and how that impacts our life in a daily routine. So, um, how can you guide us? First tell us a little bit of your story, but then how can your journey can serve or can be a tool, or things that it can be implemented into our lives. Then,
Yes. Well, first of all, my name is Solange. I've been on the journey of conscious nutrition for the last 22 years, and it's been in different, it's been evolving through the years. It started as a health conscious um, journey. I had two brain aneurysms. I was diagnosed with two brain aneurysms. And on that process, one of the things that was brought up to me through meditation, it was the consciousness of what I was eating, how what I was eating at that moment, it was impacting my health. And most of the times we don't think about it because we are programmed in many ways by our culture, by our environment, but by the things that we know in food, and we think that we are eating perfectly.
and it tastes
When
good.
that, huh?
And by the fact that it tastes good, the sugar
Yeah,
and all
and
of the
it tastes
things.
good,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
everyone, each one of our cultures, we have our own taste, and we are familiar to it. That's what we think it's good for ourselves. But when I was diagnosed with the two brain aneurysms and became aware of how my foods, which was the first uh, acknowledgement of how my nutrition was impacting the health, started to make those changes, be more um, like looking more into the look of what I was eating. After that, it was also the consciousness of nutrition is not only what we eat, and most of the time we think about nutrition only of what we eat, but it's also the way that we live our life, the situations that we go through, our work, if it's too much stressful, um, things as small as the music that we hear. What are we listening to, and what are those stories behind that music, what is creating in our mind, because our mind impacts our nutrition in many ways. That I always said is that projector, like if we listen to a song that it's talking about heartbreak, we get into that story and we create that story in our mind, and all of
Absolutely.
a sudden we're here crying, and feeling
Tell me
bad,
about
and
it.
we don't know why. So all those, anything in our surroundings, it's part of that nutrition. Everything that we consume, from also, what we watch on TV, the Netflix series that we choose to watch, everything, it's the nutrition. Also the exercise, do we keep ourselves active enough to maintain a healthy lifestyle? So those were things that when that happened, that life event happened of being diagnosed with 2 brain aneurysms. I'm a mother of 5, and everything that happens in our mind if something doesn't go well with the surgery. So I prayed a lot. And at that moment, I received plant-based nutrition and yoga, were the answer to my prayers were those two. And that's when
Very interesting.
I feel, Carla, that was the beginning, like the actual beginning of the journey. I've been very conscious about my foods and my health and all that. But it was until that moment that I truly committed to make sure that I will get the best nutrition for myself in every aspect, and also to go deeper into what that nutrition looks for myself, and then for my family too.
So, if I'm understanding you correctly, right? When you came through this turning point in your life, for me, I had a spinal cord injury. Even though I was into meditation and I was trying to eat better and all of this, when I came across a possibility of getting paralyzed, my life, it was like, wake up, right?
Mm-hmm.
Something here got to give, and then the first thing that I cut completely, even though I was already in a process, let's say, like of awakening with meditations, with my mantras, with yoga, with qigong at the time,
Mm-hmm.
I had no conscious of uh, awareness of what the food and how that was intoxicating my body, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it was not just about, so when you present your story, like you're not just talking about the digestion and the consumption of the actual food. You are talking about all of the things that we absorb in the body that we have to digest, whether that is information, whether that is food, whether there is the environment and all of that. Is that correct?
Yes, yes,
Okay.
yes. It's
All
essential that we understand that nutrition, because if we limit to one of the aspects, then the other aspects are, we abandon them. If we only focus on the food, the rest, yes, we can improve a lot with our food, but there's many other aspects of nutrition that has to be incorporated. They all work in synergy.
So I have a kind of an intimate question in there, but here we are to share. So in that matter, it comes to our personal life and our romantic life as well, because as women, as in the feminine body, the things and the emotions and the people that we absorb into our body, it will make a huge difference. And I mean, it's my understanding. What is your take on that?
Well, it's essential. As we evolve on the journey, we understand also the impact of the energy from the outside and the people that we surround ourselves, the conversations that we have. Are we having conversations that are nourishing us? And are we having conversations that are nourishing others? Because if we sit down, and I know probably many of us have had that experience, if you sit down with someone that is constantly complaining about their life, at some point we start feeling um, probably unbalanced with the process, and we start feeling those, and I don't want to use negative, but it's in a way it's a kind of a negative energy within
Yeah,
ourselves,
yeah.
and depends on how empathic you are and how open and how vulnerable you are, that can go deeper, and it will take us time to also recover from that. So we have to be mindful, um, what are the stories that we are allowing in ourselves that are not ours and also ours, because that will also tailored in a way our daily life,
Okay.
even social media.
Okay. So you think that in the romantic relationship, in a sexual partner, that it's like that multiplies way more and more.
Of course, we know what the sexual energy does. It's
Yes.
it's
Yeah, that's kind of
and
where I want to get into a little bit. Can you elaborate in there?
Well, when we find a partner, a romantic partner, many things has have to be into consideration. You know, are we being reciprocated with the energy? Are we in alignment? Are we being valued? Are we being seen for who we are? Can we speak our truth? Those are fundamentals in order to have a healthy relationship. Many of us go into a relationship just because we attract physically to each other, or we have a good conversation and we think there's a connection. But as things evolve, then we start seeing probably unbalance, and it could be an energetic unbalance. What happens there if we are not in harmony in energy? When we go into a sexual
Intercourse, encounter,
experience,
experience. Uh-huh.
when we have that sexual experience, everything is gonna um how do you like, it's gonna be exponential. No, it's gonna go 10 times, 100 times, 1,000 times, because it's two energies that should be in alignment, that get together in order to create. The sexual energy is the energy of creation. It's the most powerful energy. Yes. What happens if we are not in alignment? Then we're going to absorb from that person, and that person is going to absorb from us, and that's when many relationships starts to become, in a way, dysfunctional. And yeah.
Toxic, perhaps, as well. What do you, um, for instance, in if sometimes there's obsessions, right? There is people that they don't understand how that energy goes, and there is that physical obsession. So I see that sometimes as a craving for sugar, or for some sort of addiction that we develop, through our daily lives. And then when I'm sharing a little bit of my experience, with
Mm-hmm.
nutrition and with this, so and then sometimes when you have that connection, that things are going harmoniously, that it's good for you, that it's good for me, and it's good for the collective, then that relationship can become stronger and be impactful, not just for you and me, but to the people that is around us in a much stronger way. In the
Yeah.
same token, it could be developing like obsession relationships, that it can be destructive to us and to the environment and all of that.
Yes.
So on that note, um what is your take? Let's say we're talking here for women out there that are discovering that there is a new way of being in touch with ourselves, right? Of connecting with our feminine energy, of digesting all the information that we gather from social media, and all of the what the word outside has to show, and the appearances, and like what society expects and all of that. But um how do you think that it's all tied up with who we are, how we create, and how we relate to people, whether sexually or in a regular environment?
Well, first of all, social media, um, they're great tools for many businesses, for all that. But I don't. I feel. No. I know that our journey with ourselves is a self journey.
Okay.
Yes, we can share experiences, and the people who's gonna listen are gonna take what they need, but it's gonna be at the end always your journey. What is an important thing that we should know and we should embrace as women? Self-love. And self-love doesn't come from self-love. Self-love is a journey on its own.
Yes.
It's a very long journey, because it requires for us to get naked, and not naked in our body, naked in our soul.
Yes.
It's that experience when we start looking. um, if you are not in a relationship, I will recommend don't go in there yet, until you figure out who you are and you get in harmony with yourself. Because everything in our life is a reflection or a projection of who we are. So in order for everything out there to be in alignment, we have to be in alignment with ourselves. If we haven't done that, every relationship that comes into our life, or in every relationship that we go in, it's going to be a projection of everything that we have still to work on, which is a beautiful thing. And I throughout my life, I am so grateful for every human that volunteered in order to come to me and show me what were the things that I needed to see and to free myself from. Because that's ultimate liberation. Liberation, freedom is not about the outside, it's about the inside. It's when we find in ourselves, especially women, that there's so much culture, there's so many things in our environment, the system
Expectations, yes.
that has been put to us or imposed to us, or that we have been conditioned to, that we are attached. And it's not until we go into those relationships that we understand everything that has impacted our life. So if you're in a relationship, speaking your truth, being truthful and vulnerable at all times. Don't fear. Whoever is in alignment with you will embrace the journey of freedom with you. Because as you have to free yourself, probably they still have work to do.
Of course.
Because we attract.
Otherwise, we'll be out of the body.
Yeah. And we attract where we are. If we look at our partners, if we look at the people in our surroundings, they all will reflect something that we still are working on. Our sisters.
Whether it's good or bad. Yeah.
Yeah. And
we have to
for me, it's always good, Carla. I don't feel that there's anything bad, because if it's being shown to me, it's for my well-being.
Yeah.
It's for my greatest self.
Yes.
So it's a beautiful journey. It could be uncomfortable, yeah, but it's still beautiful, because what it's coming at the end, it's it's like the butterfly in her metamorphosis. Is that I know that I will go in, it will be tight, it will be uncomfortable, but as soon as I free myself, I will open fully and completely and in full colors.
Yes.
So it's always a beautiful journey. So we have to be thankful. It's life. We can play.
For every heartbroken out there, for every situation, there's a teacher. Bring it on.
Say thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, you're part of my expansion. Awesome. I love that. So let's get into food a little bit, because when I first met you, if you don't mind, let me share. But I was working as a support group for a group of women that they were handling or dealing with breast cancer and different types of cancer. And then we start, meeting in different places, and the Boca Fresca came across, and then we start meeting at your food cart at the place where you had Boca Fresca. And we were talking about health, and we were talking about, how can we support each other on this journey of transformation from the inside out, connecting to the physical body, to the nourishment of our bodies. And in my passion for Ayurveda and nutrition and the things that I do, that was like so special. Come in to try and taste the delicious food that you always prepared, and, be part of all of this. It was just like it brought in joy for the patients, the people that were there struggling with cancer, and, in the way that you prepare everything. It's life-changing, because there is a purpose on all of the ingredients that you use. And I don't know if we get into too much of this, but if you can share some practical things that we can do, and start into that path, would be amazing.
Yes, when I share, I always share the example of a car. We have to see our body as our means of transportation. It's our car. So if you have
the Uber,
no,
no,
for me it's the Ferrari.
Oh, never mind. Never mind. For me, it's the Maserati.
No.
For now.
So, and it's also, we're talking about women, but also for men. I feel they related more when we talk about the car.
Yes,
um
yes.
so
Guys like the
like
cars.
you have an exclusive car that it was built specifically for you,
Okay.
and you paid a premium price by coming to this world to get it. It's the way that we transport ourselves, the way that we move. So it's equivalent to a car. And then we go, if we have a Ferrari and we go to the gas station, which fuel are we going to fuel our car with? Are you going to put the cheapest fuel?
No.
And it doesn't have to be with money. It has to be with the quality of the gas that we are putting in. So the
Yes.
same way we have to think about our body is our costume, it's our car, it's the the body that take us everywhere. We have to ensure and make sure that we put the best within.
It's the vehicle for the soul. It's how the soul manifested and materialized things. How am I take care of that tool? The
Yeah,
body is a
and
tool. Yeah.
it's the body that holds the greatest treasure that we have, which is our soul. So we have to make sure when we eat, we are eating for our spirit, not for our body. So the
Awesome.
foods that we put in our body, there's many affirmations that we know, like food is medicine. Okay.
Yes.
Like we are what we eat.
Yes.
um if you eat life, you will get life. So
Yes.
those are things that we have to go deeper and meditate on that. Food is our medicine. So if we eat well, we make sure that our body is healthy. What are we talking what ingredients we're talking about when we eat well? Live food, fruits, vegetable. The raw the better.
Okay.
um we have to make sure that we have a balance in our macro and um
Nutrients.
nutrients, like the fats. We have good fats, like avocado. It's my favorite one. Nuts are my, like my second
Like,
favorite. And seeds, another favorite of mine. um when we have our fruits, we make sure that we eat our sugary fruits together. Sometimes we mix, the fruits and the vegetables and all that, and then our body's a mess. Like, okay, where do I go? What do I do? But to ensure that we have a good balance between our fruits, our vegetables, our grains, our legumes, which also they provide protein to our body, and in our nuts, our seeds. One of the things with a whole food plant-based is that we can eat.
uh-huh, uh-huh.
We can eat. I tell everyone I eat my fruits by the pound and my vegetables too.
Yeah.
Because they most of the if you eat cucumbers, most of them are water. So we have to make sure that we eat enough in order to nourish in a proper amount. Um, but being conscious and listen to your body. Like we have a compass that is in our body. We quiet that because all the distractions around us doesn't allow us sometimes to really listen. And we, especially women, we say, no, I can do this, or no, I will listen later. No, listen to your body. And especially as we evolve, because I don't want to say as age comes. I feel like we are how we eat, how we feel. But as
Yes.
our
When we
body
get
evolves,
wiser.
how we get wise, more experienced.
Exactly.
But as we evolve in our body, as our body grows, and it is essential that we start listening more and more, because as it change, it will require different things. What we ate when we were in an early stages not necessarily nourishes us now. So it's very important that we listen. We give premium foods, premium nutrients. There's many supplements out there that we are in a very blessed time where many things are coming. We have a lot of resources in our hands.
Absolutely.
Make sure that you listen to what actually speaks to you, because again, we are unique. Our blueprint is unique. So what it works for me probably doesn't work for you, or vice versa. But it's okay. But we have start with making sure that everything that you eat is something that you feel called to. If you like I love pineapple, so it's a good snack for me. But sometimes my body says, "Oh, you're doing too much pineapple. Hold on for a moment." And I have to listen to that. So those are ways to nourish ourselves.
So, I mean, for people that don't know, explain it to us. What is your diet? So you are complete vegan. You eat no gluten, and then you took those elements out of your nutrition for a specific reason, that it was, to your body exclusively. I mean, as a holistic therapist, I don't recommend that to 100% of the people out there. There are certain people that I understand that they do need some sort of animal protein, but for a lot of people, I mean, and there's the quality on that. But in your unique case, what was the things that start really changing your life, and why you do and you eat the way you do?
For example, I go back to the beginning when I was diagnosed with the two brain aneurysms. When we have a neurological condition, our brain inflammates. Most of the time, it comes from the inflammation in our body. It comes from the inflammation, and it could be due to different situations. Like in my case, it was the food and the stress. I was in the mental health industry, and at that time as a behavioral therapist, and I was working a lot, and it was a lot of emotional intake that
A lot
I
of
was
things
having.
you had to digest.
And I at that moment I didn't know. Well, I didn't. We always know, but I was not reconnected with the tools that I needed in order to actually um uh like release that, after a long day of seeing my clients and all that. So it was creating that inflammation, the stress from work, and also the foods that I was eating. um when I started my journey, it was more of I wanted to detox my body and de-inflammate the body, like
Detox.
as
Yes.
as soon as
Yeah.
possible.
That's,
And
I couldn't control
many
the
foods.
inflammation without cutting the sugar. I would keep on going back to the hospital, and they would keep on saying the inflammation doesn't go. The inflammation only got out of my body when I stopped eating the sugar and I stopped with the gluten.
Yeah, and that was part also of my journey. Like, I started to listen to my body. As we make the choice, when we make the choice, we tell the universe we're committed, and the universe will start to show everything that we need in order to ensure that we stick to that choice and to that journey. So in my case, I started to see how gluten was impacting my my body. So I will eat pasta, for example, which I used to love, and I will feel the um like the it was like a bone pain. I don't know how to explain that.
Yeah.
And then I will get very bloated. And then the same happened with the sugars, and it happens with the oils. So at this moment, I'm in a no sugar, no oil, a very little to no oil. And if I do any oil, I try for it to be as organic and virgin as possible, and eat it raw if it's possible. Once in a while, like I get
So you
a
don't do
craving, and
anything ghee, butter, nothing animal.
no, I don't eat butter or anything.
Yeah.
If I do um a little bit of olive oil, I make sure that the olive oil is raw always,
Okay.
so it doesn't lose the nutrients of it. Coconut oil, I
Cold
cook with it.
press.
Yeah, I do it more for cooking. And then avocado oil, I've been like exploring with that one. But we have to make sure that it's not altered, because many oils out there, are blended and we don't know.
Yeah.
The oil industry is another podcast, so yeah, it's another whole conversation.
It's another
But
mafia.
in the yeah, for me it's been that, because I've listened to my body when I eat. When I've been into places outside to eat that we cannot control the ingredients, if there's any oil in it, I immediately feel it here. It's like
Mm.
that pressure in my head that I know. It's like, okay. And I ask, like, what do you cook with it? And sometimes, they say olive oil, but in the culinary industry, there's many blends. Yeah, they put olive oil because probably it's 51% out of the
The
packet,
the 50, yeah, the 100.
the 100. It's probably a very processed olive oil, but then it's mixed with sunflower to make it cheaper. But they tell you it's an olive oil, and which is not actually. So my body's like, no, this is not. And I immediately. So for me, it's been, I've tailored my unique journey, food journey, to my needs, and to make sure that I eat to keep the inflammation of my body down, to none.
And the
And
pH were regulated.
yeah, it's and then, as we evolved in the journey of the plant based. I've been 17 years on this journey. Yeah, it's going to be 18 at the beginning of next year. um you get to understand food in a very different way, which is, yeah, it's what we eat. When we eat in quantities that we understand we're nourishing us, but we don't need as much. I eat, well, like, I try to drink juices throughout the day, and
Yeah.
then eat one big huge meal. I do fasting, at least 18 um, hours of fasting, and then I have a window of 6 hours to eat. So within the fasting, that's, we help our cells to regenerate, and to preserve the life of the cells, which is also another important factor to take into consideration when we are eating.
So do you normally follow like the circadian rhythms, like an Ayurveda, eat on the peak of the day, or what is your normal routine with
I
that?
try I try to eat between, like, eat solid foods between 3 and 6. By 5, I try to eat by 5, but sometimes I start eating like around 4:30, and then at 6 I'm still eating, or preparing my food at 4:30, and then by 6 I eat. But I try not to eat after 6.
Okay, we had a little lost in connection here, but you were talking about um the times, like I asked you about circadian rhythms, and you said that you were fasting about 18 hours and you're not eating anything after 6 or a certain time at night. So, all right, let's get back to that.
Yeah, and it's, for me, it has worked. And I feel my body in a different way. It's more in alignment with allowing me to not feel inflamed. I feel like, in my case, and as we spoke before, we all are unique, but it's important that we learn our body. How do we feel after we eat something? Sometimes, like, and this happens for many people. They feel acid reflux, and it's like, okay, so something didn't sit well, but we don't explore a little bit more what I ate that could make me feel that way. Because what we eat, we're constantly eating about the same ingredients all the time. If you go to the grocery store, and you notice, and you observe yourself, you know that you buy the same things most of the time. And when you get home, you have is like, by buying it, you have multiple of the same thing that probably you eat it or not eat it with the same frequency. But we are constantly eating the same food. So if something is not sitting well in our bodies, not making us feel well, instead of popping up a pill, this is my perspective, and I'm going to share it. Also, honoring, like, everyone's perspective. But it's like, sit with yourself. observe, what did I eat that is not feeling well in my body? Why do
Mm.
I
So
finish
you
eating and
kind
I,
of go into meditation and you ask that question.
yeah,
Like
it's an
inner
observe.
knowledge, inner
Yeah.
sensitivity with your nutrition.
Yeah, we have to be more conscious and more committed with ourselves. Like, and you were asking earlier, which are our ways to honor relationships. If we don't honor the relationship that we have with ourselves, we are not able to honor any relationship, because this relationship is the first one.
Is the most important one.
If I don't have a healthy relationship with myself, honestly, we're not going to have healthy relationships with anyone,
Absolutely.
because
Absolutely.
everything that we are not working within ourselves is going to be reflecting in everyone else. So, it doesn't matter which stage in your life you are. Our most important duty right now is that we have all this knowledge available to us, is to make sure that we get in touch to who we are, that we honor who we are, that we learn who we are, and we learn how to walk from who we are. And we Carla and I, we have beautiful conversations all the time, and we love each other. She's my one of my Brazilian sisters.
Yes, absolutely.
Which
My
have
Puerto Rican
motivated
sister here too.
Yes, which have motivated me to learn my Portuguese so I can speak fluently with her. I'm still working on it.
Work in progress.
Yes, but it's that, like, the food, it's a reflection of who we are, and we have to think about that. We don't think, or we skip thinking on what's our relationship with food. The way that I eat reflects and speaks a lot about me.
Absolutely. I
So we
love to bring BioWell in there, man, because it's the energy of the food,
Yeah.
right? So through the equipment, based on what I consume, I can see the reflection of the energy of my biofuel, of my energy field, in how it impacts us into my chakra, not just alignments, but it's amazing. It's amazing.
Yeah, I love food high. People is looking for highs out there in many ways, and I'm like, I'm
Food
in a
high.
24/7 food high. It's like,
Exactly.
because
Yeah.
I make sure that what I eat, it's the best of the best, and it has the best energy in it. And also, like, if you're going to a place, you don't know what's happening behind the doors of that kitchen. Make sure that before you sit down, you speak to your food. Like,
Uh,
you're here to nourish
Command.
me,
Yes.
and I receive you with love, and I'm grateful for the people that created this food, and the people who picked the ingredients and all that. So
Absolutely.
we put the life into that food too.
Call then the life into the plate. Just
Yeah.
like in religious, I mean, like in my background, before we eat, I mean, we would sit around the table and we wait for everyone, for the family to sit around until we say the blessings over the food, then we partake.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I do have, I try to keep the habit of, like bless, especially if I don't know where it comes from, if I'm, in a cafe or in something, I'm not as disciplined as you are, and I do love to try, different recipes. And I have friends that love to cook, so I'm always tasting different things, different seasonings and things. And I always like, okay, I receive what's mine, and I leave with you what doesn't belong to me, what is not nurturing to my body, and call in life into things when I have no control over it. So
Yeah, and we are designed to be in a
very
high
awesome.
frequency at all times. So through food, which is a great conductor of energy, we can raise that frequency too, by what you were saying, Carla, by pausing before I eat.
Yes.
Our grandparents, our ancestors probably didn't know it that way, but when they were praying, they were raising the frequency and the energy of that food to a
Uh,
point that we will all vibrate higher.
yes.
If our grandma, if our mother, if somebody that we love, that we know the love was within them for all of us, we will eat and we will ask, wow, this food is great, it's excellent, what did you put into? And then they will say love. And
Love.
yes, through that prayer, through that presence while you're cooking, you are putting that energy into the food. And whoever, for me, food is one of my beautiful languages. You know, they speak about the
Yes.
languages
For me too.
of love.
Language of
I'm
love.
like, you know, like
Food.
my language is not that in that list, but I know what my language is. And I always tell everyone, like,
Healthy
if I
food.
cook for you, I love you. Be mindful the day I stop cooking for you. So that's a message too.
Be mindful when
But
when you gotta
yeah,
take out.
so it's that, you know, like we have many tools in order to be in alignment with ourselves, the way that we express the love. But going back to your beginning, I want to I want to like make sure that we understand that the first relationship in our life is with ourselves, and we have to take the time to really observe and meditate where we are with ourselves. And if we find something that's still not in alignment, is we have to sit down. Silence, solitude are the most beautiful spaces that we can create. Talking to people that wants our best, you know, like speak to a friend, speak to someone that actually have the best interest for you. People who is in alignment, like people that you look up to in where they are in their spiritual journey. um, Make sure that that relationship with ourselves, it's the best of the best of the best. And then everything that we feed ourselves, that we nourish, once we understand the beauty of who we are and the precious treasure that we are, we will make always sure that we put and we are at the best, because we are in the best. So
Awesome. Awesome. Love that. Love that. So in my personal experience, right, when I couldn't control the inflammation in my body, so I went kind of like cold turkey, no sugar, no honey, no. I mean, I think I I wasn't even eating dates because I was scared.
but
You
yeah,
know,
at some point I wasn't eating or having.
exactly, eating or having, exactly. And then
Yeah, and it's
so
like
I
the
kind of went through like a massive detox. I
uh-huh.
fasted for, as much as I could. I did like water fasting. I used a lot of different supplements and teas and all kinds of kind of like just shrink it down as much as I could. And then little by little, I start reintroducing different things into my nutrition. I actually learned that in university. One of the things was like, like just start, for instance, with the berries. So I did a fasting for like 2 or 3 days, and then I needed like antioxidants, or I want to test it, the antioxidants or the super greens. And then because of all the digestion, like I had been cleansing for so long, I did some enemas into the period as well. But then I would start like with the berry, with a smoothie, so then I added some supplementation, some things, and little vitamins. And then I would go with the fruits. Started with the berries, the pineapple, the oranges, the, whatever I could find, especially that it was seasonal. And the time, the avocado. And I started just like as the fruitarian,
Mm-hmm,
diet.
mm-hmm.
And it was good, right? Although I've lost a lot of muscle weight, a lot, different things that happen in there. But just so you can guide us through and, see what is your experience, obviously. Then I introduced the legumes. Then I introduced the super greens, like, or the greens. And I try to do as organic as possible and as fresh as possible, even though today in my line of work there are some supplements that I absolutely can't live without.
Yeah.
There are some supplements that I really can't live without. But this came later on, right? So then I didn't eat sugar, I didn't eat meat, I didn't eat gluten, I didn't eat any processed food for, I would say, maybe 3 to 4 months. And then little by little I start, like reintroducing a certain things here, with, in my case, like, one of my really good friends, Dr. Galelli, he got into, it's like, you're losing muscle weight, you stop too fast, you got to, introduce the collagen or this and that. So I start introducing certain things, but then I honor my body, right? I did a lot of muscle testing. I don't know if you use muscle testing, but I start doing, and then I'm like, oh, this does, I don't think it's good, or I think it's good. And then I introduce the collagen. I introduce, certain things here and there, and certain things just didn't agree with me. And I'm like, okay, I really like this. And I may eat it in like very occasional and special situations, but for my daily life, this is a no. And so I create my individual, my tailor, my unique list, which is something that it makes our job very difficult, because it's not like, oh, I'm a nutritionist and you're not going to eat this, you're not going to eat that, you're going to eat this, and this is your list, this is your diet. No, first we need to develop a relationship with who you are. So back to, so you can guide us. This was my experience. I cut everything off. I would fast and I would eat the fruits. Then I would fast for another day and I would eat the legumes. And then I would mix it. What was your process and what would you advise us?
Well, there's many ways, and that's one of the ways that you can work. You go to a blank canvas, so by removing everything and then start introducing, or which is the introduction of it. Like you go to the blank canvas and you start introducing certain foods, and then see how they work into your body, how you feel, and then you remove those. You then pass to another group of foods, and it's different ways that you can work. Also, you can do by elimination. Like, for example, if you feel like there's like gluten, okay, somebody
Okay.
that it's gluten, it's been feeling inflamed, so you start eliminating one ingredient
Ah,
for a period of
more
time. Okay,
mild, less drastic. Good
yes.
girl.
And there's people that, for me, it was a similar journey. When I started my journey with plant-based, I went like, okay, I
Cold
cut
turkey.
everything and I start today. Because I'm very, like, yeah, sometimes I'm very like cutthroat
I
in
did
my
that.
life, so I go with things like that. If I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna do it that way. But we work with clients also through elimination. Let's see how
Okay.
something is not, what is something that you eat frequently and how you feel. That's why it's very important that we observe ourselves. Like a period when you start working with a client, first you have that first interview or first intake, and those first two sessions are more to get to know where the client is. What are you nourishing yourself with in every aspect, and then what are your feelings, are your thoughts, and how are you responding? Because I don't like to use, I prefer to use the word responding than reacting. But how is your body responding? How is
Okay.
your mind responding? How is your energy responding? So, but in the case of the food, so we start to get to know, we make a food diary. What are you eating? And then also observing, a journaling of how are you feeling after you eat.
So two main questions. What are you eating and how do you feel
Yeah.
after you eat?
Yes. And then what is your relationship? What's the frequency of the food? Because many of us, we eat throughout the day without the knowledge or without hunger. Like we
Mhm.
eat because we are stressed, and I am I still working with emotional binging, even at this time in my life. It's sometimes I'm in a stressful situation, which I don't probably projected, but then I go to the foods and then I catch myself, oh, because it's a habit.
Yeah.
Many of us
The
have
program. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's the
we
program.
fall right back into the program.
We have food habits.
Yeah.
Like in my household, for example, one of the things that I did throughout the process of understanding what's my relationship with the food, it was like, I remember when I used to cry, and my grandmother will give me a bottle of milk or will give me something to eat, like feel
Cookie. Yeah.
better.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
that's the root of my particular experience. That's the root of my emotional binging, which I will relate comfort with food. So I
Yes,
have
we
to
don't. We
go,
all do that in a certain level. We just need to
but
understand where. Yeah,
where is it coming from? When that
exactly.
started? When does it happen? Those are the things that we have to think about. If somebody's in stress and they go for the chocolate bar every time they're stressed, like I have clients that, they feel and they are overweight. What are the things that, like, they say, oh, I don't eat a lot. Yes, they don't eat a lot, but what are you eating?
Mm-hmm.
Because it's not, sometimes it's not the amount, it's what are we eating. That
Yes.
is, many of us have emotional weight, we have inflammation weight, there's different kind of weight. We have um, body weight, which can be triggered by fat too. So there's many ways. We have to learn. When we work with our clients, we have to learn where they are, and they
The
have to learn
relationship.
first
Yeah.
where they are. Because once we acknowledge where we are, we can make the choice. We don't have to, but we can make the choice to change our circumstances.
Yeah. The relationship with that food or the relationship with that emotion or moment, you can change that. And then you kind of like do a new, you take a turn. Let's say you're not going to eat the milk or what your grandmother did, but you know that brings you comfort. So then consciously you say, okay, I need something to comfort me right now. Okay, I'm going to go for grapes. I'm going to go for
Or an
carrots
apple. I'm
or
going to go
an
for,
apple or something. Yeah. Okay.
yeah.
So you would start, I mean, obviously at that time when I went to this, deep diving in the journey, I was in university and I just wanted, do something drastic. But in your approach, so let's say, for instance, if I mean, that is amazing, just, rephrasing what you said. So in a way that we can be practical with the message that we are leaving to our listeners today, would it be to one thing at a time? Let's say, for instance, start with the gluten or start with the sugar, which is probably, I mean, stopping the sugar, which is one of the most addictive substances out there, is really hard. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
you gotta have a motivation. You know what I mean? You
Yep.
gotta feel like you're going to be paralyzed or you're in chronic pain all over your body, that you cannot go to the bathroom by yourself, to say, no, I'm not gonna eat sugar because I learned that sugar is what is doing this to me. Or you have a brain aneurysm and say, that it's the sugar.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, we just keep on going because we don't really get that wake up call. So I love that. I love that. There is not so much of like a drastic approach. And how about detoxing? What would you guide
And
or
one of,
what would do in
wow,
terms?
sorry to cut you, but it's one of the things is that make sure that you have someone that will guide you on the process, because it's easier when we have someone, a holistic therapist, a nutritional coach, a nutritional therapist, anyone. Um, I believe more in holistic nutrition therapy or conscious nutrition therapy, because the approach is on all the things that are impacting our
Yes.
health, and the way that we consume our foods and the way that we are nourishing ourselves. It's not only about the food, because many times, and I don't take out from all the knowledge that any other one could have, but sometimes if you go only to the foods and we don't take care of the root of the our relationship with the food, we are doing nothing. It's just like a diet. we,
Awesome.
we will probably lose a few pounds, but we will go back to the same habits all over again, because we have to acknowledge where our habits, what is our relationship, what we have cultivated
Change the relationship before
with
you
the
change the
food.
habit. Change the relationship.
Yeah, you have to know the relationship to then create a structure that will work for you to change the habits that are around that relationship, and then
Amazing.
recreate a new life with the knowledge that you have now. And
Amazing.
as we do that with ourselves, we do that in every relationship that we go out there.
And we have discipline. If we have discipline with what we put into our physical body and we are conscious about that, we have a better relationship and a better understanding with what we are put it into our minds, into our emotions, and the people that we spend time with,
Yeah.
or and when we get more isolated into our inner self and our inner space, we feel nurtured. We don't feel alone. We feel,
Yes.
recovering. We feel, yes, love
Yes.
that. Love
Yes.
that.
And you were asking about the detox. What was your question on that?
The detox, yes.
Yeah.
So what would you say as far, like kind of like reviewing a little bit, cut one thing at a time, and then to detoxify the body. I mean, recently you shared with us, like a list of diets that it could be a detox diet in one of the groups, which was amazing. Thank you so much for that. I love it. It's awesome. But so what would be practical? Now we cannot really leave a list for people here, but what would it be like? Some, I don't know if you use herbology. For me, I would go to, different things: milk thistle, dandelion. I mean, you name it, parasite cleansing, senna. Well, I have I can pull up a list.
Yeah.
But what would be your favorites? What would be your advice with the detoxing or helping detoxifying the body?
Um, I love herbs to detoxify. Find what works for you. I feel like the simpler it is, the easier will be to follow, especially at the beginning.
Yes.
If we get too overwhelmed with the things that we have to do, it's most likely that we will create resistance because it's a lot of work. So if we
Tiny
can
habits, changing small.
stick to one thing, okay. For example, I love fasting as a way of detoxing. So if we can fast for 24 hours and then add a tea out of an herb without adding sugar,
Beautiful.
that will help us detox as we are fasting. Because
Yes.
also, if we're fasting and we drink tea, we kind of deceive ourselves from the fasting. So it's like it's that comfortness of something warm in our body. So make sure that like anything that speaks to you, if dandelion it's one of the herbs that speak, so go for the dandelion. And if you like lemon and you like ginger, maybe make an infusion of the three of them, because like dandelion is an acquired taste.
Yes.
It could be bitter
Could
sometimes,
be
but
a
it's
little
beautiful.
like, yeah.
And then like create things for create your own recipes. But then again, the most important part is that we have someone that has the knowledge, have the willingness, have the commitment to help. Because
Awesome.
again, that relationship that we create with that person that is guiding us is essential for the success of what we're doing.
Absolutely.
So and be guided. Like I'm putting a program right now together for that. It's part of it. I've been between Hack or Optimus. I don't know yet, but it's a 28-day detox. And it's like how can we reset our body? How can we biohack our body? And then using herbs. Like I love the approach that you have with the herbs and the supplements. I feel like for me you're a great resource, Carla, on all that. And complementing, like not like in this area we all work together. Like if I
Yes,
have a set of
absolutely.
tools
Yes.
and I can bring resources that will enhance what I'm doing, that's part of it. Like between the herbs and the food and the knowledge of understanding where we are and our relationship, we create
A collaboration.
theology
Yeah.
of that actually will allow us to be successful. And those are the things that in order to be successful, we have to create the relationships that will allow you to be successful. So by having a team of people that will help you, that will guide you on the process, it's most likely, if you have the commitment, that you will be successful. So that's why that's where we come. That's where we come into the
Yes.
life of everyone out there.
Yes. Yeah. Amazing. I love that. I love that. And it becomes, and then when you start in this journey, it almost become a community, because then you start trying different foods, and that's what Boca Fresca did for me. Like it created a culture of people that are committed to their health, that are committed to eating fresh food, healthy food, and meaningful nutrition, meaningful food. And like we support each other on that journey. So I mean, for me, it's extremely special to have you here, sharing all of your knowledge, and eventually we can share some recipes and do some more practical things. But thank you so much. I admire you so much, admire so much your work and the impact with people, like, and when I go around and some people come into the store, and I mean, out of nowhere, if you mention your name in Orlando area, people know you. People know the value of the talent that you have. Maybe they not know the journey and what got you through who you are, and to how you guide this community, and how you are an incredible asset for people that are trying to recover and heal themselves from many different diseases, or even from anxiety, depression, like excess stress and manage cortisol. That we all come in and we all have a really incredible place, but when it comes into the food, you have a special touch. So
Thank you.
thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
being
Thank
part
you.
of my life,
Yes.
for sharing, and for making this community more beautiful with your presence.
And thank you. And for me, it's an honor. And you know how much I love you.
Love
And
you
I'm very
too.
grateful for you. And I also
Beautiful.
admire you. And I see the work that you do and the commitment that you have. And I'm grateful that you to be here and to be able to share with you, and that we can both share together the beautiful conversations that we have in
Yes,
private, that
in
they can,
private.
because many
Absolutely.
times we say like we should have recorded this, you know.
We do all the time. We should have recorded this. So that's where, like we have Landon right here now, being a support for us.
Yes.
And, be able for us to record it. I want to talk Ayurveda with Carlos, and different things with Flavia, and different other therapists that are coming into, this awareness. So
Yes.
so our private nutritional conversation is not just us. It will enrich my life, your life, and the ones that will have access to this podcast, to this channel, and we can share this knowledge and create more awareness, and facilitate this sometimes difficult process of waking up to what society had imposed to our lives, what industrial word and times have, like we came in from a time that, oh, everything is fast and everything is practical and it's frozen and this, and we lost that relationship, that relationship around the kitchen, with the family, with yourself. For me, is a therapy when I have the privilege and the honor to serve someone, to feed someone that I love, to create a salad, to create a soup that I love, or like to make a plate that is not just my love into it, but is real, holistic, and conscious nutrition. So
Yes.
you are one of my masters, you are one of my mentors, and I will always be learning with you, and no words to express, just
And thank you. I
lucky
look
that you
forward
are in my life.
thank you. And I look forward, and it's important that people understand we create community with because we live in community. We do this together, and everything that we do out there is a reflection of the way that we have committed ourselves to live. This is
Yes.
knowledge if it's nothing if it's not shared. So thank you also for you to create a platform for us to share. So thank you.
You're welcome, sis. Thank you for making it possible. And I will see you out there. Gratitude.
Love you all, and
Mwah.
thank you,
Love
and
you.
look
Love
forward
you.
for many, many more conversations to
Yes,
share.
yes.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.